I think everybody in their right mind wants Wigan, don't they? Who wants Luton?
Wigan.
I've never been to
Luton.
I've never been to Wigan. So
no,
Wigan,
that's the only thing, isn't it? Like at least it's a new ground, a half decent away end.
5,100 somebody put.
Yeah, I mean, we won't
so that
take
means
that.
that means the way that this draw's gone, that it's Luton away, isn't it? It's nailed on. They drew at home, they'll win away, and we'll get Luton.
I don't mind that.
Look, I think I quite like this pre sort of the start of the show officially. If we get the negativity of the draw out the way, and then we can be positive. Because I got so annoyed. I went through the list of since 91, 92, how many what teams we'd drawn between the FA Cup and the League Cup, and it is astonishing the difference. It's incredible. But yeah, you know, Mike, you're very breathy.
Am I?
You're very breathy. That's all right. I was just going to say, just, you know, behind the scenes stuff.
Sort of got to breathe, mate.
I know, but it sounds more sex pest on the phone than life.
You're on to me.
It's yeah, I don't know. It just felt very FA Cup. Bruce, am I on my own? Have I created this whole myth that the FA Cup treats us like shit, or is there anything behind it?
Well, we haven't really given the FA Cup a lot to cheer about in the last 20 years, have we? If this is our first trip to the fourth round in 23 years, but we went on to see my dad. He's not been very well this week. Went on to see my dad, and he with the family, and he was. I made the whole room. There's about 8 of us. Made the whole room sit quietly while the draw was on, and tried to explain to my 17-year-old niece how exciting this was, and my little sister who's 21. They just weren't feeling it. And then when we pulled out Luton or Wigan away, they were like, "Is that good?" And I was just, "No, that's shit." Yeah. But yeah, you know, from a personal point of view, I've excuse me, like I say, I've been to Luton a couple of times, not recently, but Wigan would be a new one. It's a bigger away end, probably a more winnable game. And in 88, 89, in the 4th round, we were in Division 4. We pulled out Reading, who were at the time in Division 3. Which would have been a disappointment after beating Middlesbrough in the 3rd round. We were in the 1st division back then. So, you know, we didn't have a great tie then. And then we had the story of the 5th round when we beat them eventually, which was the trip to Wimbledon, which everyone remembers so fondly, 7,000 Town fans and all that. So it's not all, you know, we've had this sort of shit before. But yeah, it does feel very meh, as they would say these days.
Luke's been very mean. He says, "I'm a bit worried if we play Luton, we might be contractually obliged to play Pepple," which is very rude.
Such harsh.
I went to uni in Luton, not a place for the faint-hearted. Neither's Lincoln, but yeah, absolutely, Ollie. Right, we'll start the show, and then we'll be more positive about it all because it was a hell of a day. Town were into the 4th round of the FA Cup for the first time in 23 years.
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
They've done it! They've done it! It's Maguire Drew! They've done it again, this team!
What a magnificent piece of football!
Really, really good goal!
You can't let this one cover. Grimsby are heading back to the Football League.
Love it.
I'm going to have to get the timing right to add the FA Cup trophy lift at the end of that jingle. And I think it's going to be quite tight to do so. But good evening, everybody. It is FA Cup Pro. Maybe I'll cut the beginning so you won't hear the negativity. But for those of you who are downloaded or listening live, thank you very much for joining us. I'm joined, as always, by the resplendent Bruce Fenner, who is over in Grimsby /Cleethorpes with no posters.
Hiya, mate. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. And also,
I'm just laughing. Oh, sorry. I'll tell you in a minute.
Go ahead.
I was just laughing. I haven't seen it. I don't know if Mike's seen it. The in the pod WhatsApp group, your message from a minute to 8 is anyone joining me? It's like the draw was that shit that you just feared that no one would turn up. That must be your worst nightmare. That probably actually be better if me and Mike weren't here for you, to be fair. But it's your worst nightmare that you just sat here on your own and no one joins the pod.
Hello.
We should just do that 1 week. We'll do that 1 week, Bruce. We'll join. Then when he goes to go live, we'll just leave.
Yes. I mean, I'll be honest, given our technology, that sometimes happens anyway. And also joining us down here on the south is Mike, who's left us. He's got a cold and he's sounding very sex pestery. So if he does, just put a quick message in the WhatsApp and he'll move his mic up. Mike, how are you?
I'm very well. I resemble that remark.
Yes, that's true. I say that far too often. Well, FA Cup. I may dislike it, but on this podcast anyway, in this little Harry Potter cupboard, it's going to be positivity all the way. For the first time in 23 years, the Mariners are into the fourth round. They beat Burton Albion of League One by 1-0 on what can only be described as a carpet of a pitch. That carpet found behind the back of Freeman Street and has been there for 35 years. Bruce, you were there, not in your same seat as not usual. So how did it feel that your seat was cheating on you with another person? And did you enjoy the view elsewhere? And also talk about the game.
I was about 4 seats to the right of where I normally sit. We were right at Maisie was in the last seat on row F as you head towards the Osman from the lower. You know, that's quite easy to describe, really. I offered her the chance to move because she was sat next to 2 of my mates, but in the first half she was quite comfortable, leant on the wall dozing because it was not the best, was it? To put it mildly, it's one of the worst halves of football I've ever seen. But yeah, the people that there was a group of, like, and this might bloody stir the shit, but hey ho, there was a group of probably,
Here we go.
It looked like 30 or 40 sort of young teenage lads that you would expect to be very bouncy. And they looked like they sort of turned up at the football, but they were expecting the Crucible. It was just like they just didn't join in hardly any of the songs. It was hard work. There was a few old school back row boys, and they were trying to get it going, and I was joining in a little bit, but it was really hard to get the young kids up for maybe they weren't up for Burton and they were looking forward to the Luton game. I don't know, but it was tough to get them going. But like I said, the first half was absolutely appalling. Both teams just looked like they're both teams. It was like Scunny versus Scunny. You know, it was just horrendous. But
I'll tell you what would make it more entertaining is spending the time trying to find a stream to watch it, because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, weren't you encouraged to gamble to do so? Didn't you have to put like 50p on, Town to win to be able to watch it on a betting site?
I know, and all credit to the Grimsby Town's resident gambler Sophie Bray, who said put some money on Scunny to win this week, and then did. I was not quick enough to do so. I've still got only 3p in my Bet365 account, and they wouldn't let me put it on. My
weekend betting, a lad that I play football with on a Monday that knows quite a bit about horses. I saw on a Saturday morning that he tipped this horse in a novice chase or something. I don't know how you tip one in a novice's chase, but he tipped this horse. So my sort of weekly sort of 10, I put about £10 on a Saturday. By 2:20, it was bloody it was gone down the Swanee because this horse jogged around for about 2 laps, and then on the last half lap he just pulled it up because it was just so appallingly bad. And that was my £10, and I won't be paying attention to Facebook racing tips again. I'd rather lose my money on putting money on football that I think I know about, which I don't.
You could do what I did and paid some money to ESPN Plus by trying to use a VPN. That's a lot of letters, and then not being able to use it, and they still took the money. So thanks very much, Disney.
I don't know what you're moaning about. My link was fine, and I sent you it. It's your computer.
It didn't work. It didn't work. I had to thank Matty Mullidge in the end, who in the second half sent me an Arabic version, which was wonderful. I'd never heard Harry Clifton's name said in such a wonderful way. It was a lot of fun. They were far more passionate is the wrong word, but far more optimistic than John Tonda usually is, shall we say? They were quite goal.
Enthusiastic.
Yeah, enthusiastic. It was amazing. It was very funny. What were your overall opinion through your many pop-ups? Which, by the way, how the hell can Bet365 have the sort of rights to broadcast it, but the club doesn't? How mad is that?
Right, well, that's something else. So let's just get rid of this bullshit straight away that it wasn't available in the UK. It obviously was, because British bookmakers are showing it. So that's a load of shit to start with. I thought... I thought it was like Bruce. It was a terrible first half. They were the better side, but I think second half, we started to sort of dominate the game a bit more. Did quite well with what we're doing. I think we coped with the conditions better, and I think that's what it came down to. And I think literally it's the one chance of the game sort of did it. I thought it was actually a great move from left to right, and then Mishy and Clifton with a 1-2, and then Richardson with a well-timed arse stick out. He played that, but yeah, it was a poor game in poor conditions, really. And nothing really more to say about that. We got the win in the fourth round. There we go. Happy days.
There were some pretty standout performances, according to some. I struggled to watch it on my phone and I didn't really absorb it, but Kieran Green came in for a lot of positivity, some mentioning and comparing him to Poughton. So I need to pay more attention to this guy than I currently am doing. Miche Efete came in for a lot of praise, and not just from Sam of this parish, and did really well for the second goal. And Harry Clifton, we got to make him mention, 200th game, captain in the team. I'm calling it as his goal. That's an incredible thing. And we should really, round of applause for the man, that's there's not many players that are homegrown that get 200 caps for the town. The town. Who says the town?
Not at all, mate. It's been a while. I think I shared a few things that good old Dave Werry had pointed my way, my resident statistician, who actually has got down. It was Harry's 202nd appearance. Spit that one out. But yeah, no, it is an achievement, and I think the reaction on social media from former players shows what a rarity a milestone like that has been in our club in the last 20 years. We're generally happy if players play 20 times for the club, aren't we, rather than bloody 200. So no, it's great, and the fact that it's a homegrown lad, one of our own, if you like, is really good, and he looks like he's going to go on and hopefully, touch wood, make a lot more. I think the last time was probably, didn't Macca get to 400? Macca keeper. Did he get to 4? I'm sure he got to 400.
Yeah.
Did he get to 5? Didn't he get to 5 in the end?
I don't think so, mate, because that would be 50 games a season, wouldn't it, for 10 seasons? I don't think he was here. I don't think he played 50 games. I could be wrong. Somebody will correct me. I thought it was 400 his milestone. But...
Wikipedia have it as 432.
Right.
I will trust Wikipedia.
But that's only they only do league games though, don't they? But this is where you come into your own, Alex, with your cup research.
Oh, honestly, I can't believe
how many games have we played?
It was, I don't know, what was it, 53 and 47 from 91-92 or something like that.
Oh yeah, he wasn't that time.
I'll tweet it out. We've played 53 games in the FA Cup since 91-92, and we have played 45 games in the League Cup since 91-92. Not including the FA Trophy, which we've played 3,000 games in, because it certainly felt that way.
Oh, what a competition. I don't miss that one. Scunny knew
what no, don't worry.
Out of that quick.
They know what they're doing about the National League as well, getting out of that quick and all.
Yeah, Grimsby were only there one season. We'll match them.
Rest in peace. Yeah, It's thoroughly lovely. You know, it's through to the next round. Three. I was annoyed at match of the day. I don't care what anyone says. I timed it as well. 23 seconds we got for beating Burton. 23 seconds for national media attention for getting into the fourth round of the FA Cup. 1 second for every year we haven't been in the fourth round, which was quite apt. Nobody want to say anything.
Did you see? I love YouTube. I googled earlier on the fourth round draw in 1999-2000 because for some reason that year all the rounds were played a round earlier date wise than they normally would be. So the fourth round was actually played last weekend, if you like, on the first weekend in January when we lost to Bolton. So we actually beat Stockport in December when what would have been the second round normally. I don't know. Somebody said it might have had something to do with the year that Man U were in the World Club Championship, but I thought didn't they pull out of the FA Cup completely?
Yeah, they didn't play on it. Yeah,
but it was that same season because they won the treble in '99, didn't they?
Yeah.
So it was that season, 99-2000. So it was probably something to do with them. But everything was earlier than normal. But yeah, I found a little bit of YouTube, a little bit of Googling on YouTube, searching on YouTube, and up pops the draw for the fourth round. And lo and behold, we were first out the hat. So there wasn't any anticipation. So really, the draws so far haven't even been exciting, have they? We've not. I mean, today's was about the longest, and we went about 15 teams, something like that.
Yeah, when Man United's number came out, I was getting quite excited. I thought this is going to be it. But then again, I thought exactly the same when they who did they pull out, Mike? I can't remember. Before, I mean, we certainly both said when Luton and Wigan came out, we went, that's us. We're next. And lo and behold.
Hey, Bruce, it's amazing what you can find on that internet, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of better stuff than you can find in the bloody FA Cup draw, I'll tell you. But yeah, my little sister, even the one that wasn't even interested, ruined the draw because as soon as I saw Luton and Wigan come out, she went, "Oh, he's just picked up ball 19." How do you know that? It shows the thing from underneath, doesn't it? He just picked up ball 19.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, so he puts his hand in. She goes, "Oh, he's got ball 19." Pulls it out, 19. Oh, marvellous.
Fix.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Redraw it.
I didn't even get the anticipation. She told me we'd drawn them.
Let's go all UEFA and get it redrawn.
Well, because
Emil Heskey has always been a disappointment.
Katie Fenwick saw that he'd picked the ball out before it was actually announced. Yeah, let's have United away next time. Well, Spurs.
If she was a dab hand on the betting site, she'd have made you a few quid there.
Yeah, possibly. I'd have probably fucked that up.
Yeah, oh, damn. I put it on for Wigan to win the league. Right. We'll come back with some more FA Cup chat, but we've got to concentrate on the league at some point. And we are going to be playing, and I assume they're now called Charlie Austin Swindon. So we are joined by Rich, who's going to take us through everything. Hopefully, the tickets still cost £19.93, as it was the last time I was there.
Behind, so that's the final act of the game, which means Grimsby Town are back in the Football League just a year after those awful scenes that exited.
We are joined by Rich from the Loathe Strangers podcast, everything you want for your Swindon Town needs, which is exactly why you are on a Grimsby Town podcast, because there's no better place to plug it. Rich, welcome along. Hope everything is well with you down in the southwest.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's good. And thank you for including Swindon. Now we are Charlie Austin FC. We might as well embrace it while we still can. I
heard your badge is now just the gif of it's a joke, and that's it. Is that right?
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, QPR, it was at QPR Southampton he was with at the time, Southampton. Yeah, we've had to work a deal with them just to get the logos off. And I think, well, he created VAR for all of us, didn't he? I think he'll take credit for that.
There's nothing more dispiriting on VAR than having it for 40 seconds and have your one player sent off for it, which is a lovely FA Cup experience for us. But all things change again down on the magical roundabout?
Yeah, we only know one thing, and that's change. It looks like it. We're expecting over the next day or two to hear that Scott Lindsay has joined. Our head coach has left to join Crawley. He was under a lot of pressure amongst the fans but I don't know if the club were ready to pull the old trigger just yet. And maybe Scott Lindsay's read around and thought, well, I live in Kent. Crawley's not far away. They're a basket case. What can go wrong? And he's gone and left before he could be sacked. And I kind of respect that in many ways, because we all expected. It's been weird. All the narrative has been about him getting sacked, and now he's leaving by choice, and it's like being dumped just before you're going to do the dumping. You know, it's been an odd few days, but yeah, it looks like him and at least one of the assistants is going to Crawley.
You can't fire me. I resign.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so where does that leave you at the moment? And where's the last time I heard about Swindon, things were not good for the survival of the club. Never mind anything else. Has that all been sort of sorted out, or is it still up in the air? And is that one of the reasons why? Because you're not doing too bad in the league, I guess, but are aspirations higher than what they are?
I think Swindon fans, after last season where we narrowly missed out on the playoffs, well, we got to the playoff semi-finals, and we're one kick away, I think, from making it to Wembley, and then we ballsed it up. But in terms of behind the scenes, we are much better, but there are still a few bits of debris washing itself to shore every now and again from the previous regime. So it's not 100%, but it's in a much better situation than it is before. But the newer owner, Claire Morfuni, who's based in Australia, this is going to be his third head coach appointment, which isn't, well, it won't be what he planned, and it's not been ideal. But in terms of the way things have been going, we've been regressing. We're not in a bad position, but I think there's about 10 teams that will be saying exactly the same between 7th and 12th or just below, because it's quite tight down there. But we are one bad match week, if you want to call it that, away from dropping like a stone, and it wasn't improving under Scott Lindsay. I think he was going to get the Charlie Austin game against you guys. I don't think they were planning to sack him or anything, in the hope that Charlie Austin's arrival would result in a change of form. But it's all changed. So yeah, we're in an all right position at the moment. I think we're just off the playoffs, but everyone's got a game in hand around us, even though that really doesn't matter. The results largely went in our favour, it felt, over the weekend, with a draw too. But we're not as good as we were last year. Our squad is not as strong as it was last season. And I think the fans were beginning to notice that. And the big sort of indicator from me, who does a podcast, is every week we ask for listeners' contributions after the game. And we've been going through this spell of win one, lose one, win one, draw one. And every time we'd win, you'd get this sort of wave of people going, this is it. In the head coach we trust. This is the start of better things. And when we beat Northampton, which was a really, really good result, nobody came back with that. It was just, we'll see. And then we lost to Colchester in an appalling performance. And I think fans were just getting to the point where we can see where this is going. Yeah, we're in the playoffs now, but it's win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. And we need to be doing better than that, because I think a lot of fans have got their eye on who's coming up next season from the National League, and a couple of teams who are coming down from League One. And I think it's going to be a trickier division next year, potentially. So, you know, if we can get out as soon as we can, and I know that sounds arrogant because we're not the best team in this division by a country mile. We are, like I said, not as good as last year, but if we can squeeze into those playoffs, then anything can happen. With Austin, you hope that he's going to find some form. But if you watch his Australian performances, he's going to need a little while to warm up, I think. But the signs from what I hear behind the scenes is that he's infinitely better than what we've got.
From experience, beating the teams in the National League is not too difficult. Bruce, what were you going to say?
I was just listening to Rich, and I think it shows a lot of our guests on the pod show sort of what people feel about Division 4, really, because I think apart from the Salford lad who's only been watching football 3 years, everyone else has been miserable as sin and down on the not happy. They're not happy. The people aren't happy in this division. It's just a general sort of I don't know. It's just we don't. Can you get somebody? We don't get anybody cheerful. Everyone, in the playoffs and stuff, people are not happy.
You can say that, but there are three differences. You had the Salford lad who was loving life. Then you had everybody, Rich included, and then you've got that poor Crawley guy who is on sort of suicide watch. And he was on suicide watch before all of this stuff happened. He's currently listening to this podcast with a toaster in the bathtub.
It's weird though, isn't it? Because I mean, I think most of us in this conversation are of an age where I remember Swindon Grimsby being a solid championship fixture, you know, and
I preferred your badge then.
Yeah, so the diamond, yeah, it was one of those things that we called for to get rid of, and then they replaced it with one which wasn't as good, and now we sort of get nostalgic for the diamond.
Yeah,
it's odd one that, but I'm not elitist where I'm sat here going Swindon Town should not be in League Two. This is disgusting. Everyone around us is just appalling. We're contributing to that without a doubt. We are doing our best to make League Two not look like the division National League teams want to come into, or they'll probably think, well, we'll get to League One, no problem. It's just this season. Last year we had a great time, and we were riding the wave of thinking that we were going to go out of business the previous summer. We overachieved in many ways, and we had some really, really exciting players, and we got to the playoffs, and it just ended so abruptly. But we weren't sort of doing those sniffy League Two is rubbish things last year, funnily enough. Even though we're on similar sort of points difference between this time last year and now, it just, the vibe was much stronger. But this year, nobody's enjoying it. You go to games, you see the away end, they don't want to be there. You look at the home end, they don't want to be there. We're all just asking ourselves, why are we here? It's just been a bit of a miserable one this season. But maybe you're just picking all the miserable people plus one happy Salford fan.
I like Swindon. I've been twice. Came twice. We won 1-0 with
that dive. That dive was amazing.
It was last game of the season, almost, wasn't it? Second from last game of the season.
Blatant trip on Harry Cardwell. He fell over somebody's heel that wasn't even looking at him, and we got a penalty.
It was so quiet that day. The noise that made was brilliant. I was in the town end for that one, and it made such a loud noise because it was dead as a dodo in atmosphere terms, and I heard it all, and it was just like he's given a penalty. It looked like he just scuffed over some dirt in his shoe. It was very funny. I think
he fell over your guy's heel, but your guy wasn't even looking at him or something.
It was,
but that point, that 3 points that we got was crucial, and then had a few beers and a night out and stopped over, and then we came back the following season. And I think Luke Hendry scored a late equaliser in a 1-1 draw. So I've been all the way to Swindon twice, and there's not many places I can say that I've been to twice that we've not lost yet. So I'm not coming in this weekend. So that's probably doomed us.
Well, so we won our last few, haven't we?
Bruce?
Yeah, probably might. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. It's and then the last time I went, everyone was celebrating the 1993 anniversary. And all the tickets were £93, like £19.93. I'll tell you something, Rich. Ticket prices unacceptable. 25 quid for 4th Division football. What is going on?
Yeah,
is that the same for you guys?
Oh yeah. There's no away sort of mistreatment markup for you guys. We pay just the same.
That's mad.
Yep. You're not going to get me to argue over that.
Who do you think you are? Boreham Wood. But
we like his manager. He's ex-Swindon.
Is he really? He was all right. But one thing they're very guilty of is if a ball goes into their box, one of their players is going down clutching their head. Every single time. It's incredible.
All I'm hearing is ball going into box. That sounds amazing for us at the moment. The last few months... even though Scott Lindsay was all about box entries in the stats, we weren't. Stats say so much, but when you're actually watching the game, you're like, nah, that didn't happen that often at all. So, that would be nice. Some attacking flair, I call that.
I can't remember which game it was, but one of the two trips to Swindon, it was. We weren't happy with the ticketing prices then, and I remember going to the thing, and I'm like, I'm not paying that, and I'd had a few beers, and. We went to the ticket. The ticket office was it was in the corner of the stand with it had got mesh over the windows that was sort of so tight. The woman that was behind the counter could barely see through this mesh. And it was like, "Can I have a student, please?" And she looks at me and she's like, she didn't say it, but it's like you could see her thinking, "How old's he? How old is he? He wants a student."
Postgrad.
She's like, I was like, yeah, student, please. Are you sure? And I was like, oh yeah, definitely, please. And you can see her sort of squinting, looking through the mesh, and she's like, all right, there you go. And it saved me about a £5, made it about a reasonable ticket price. But yeah, it was that tight though. She literally could not see through this mesh properly at anybody. And then with that, the queue behind you just goes, yeah, same as in, please.
Yeah, but we're all at the University of Grimsby, aren't we? So that's
exactly.
It's the only other thing I quite like about Swindon as well is the scoreboard when we play there has a nice symmetry. They're both in the same box. I quite like that. That's something that pleases me when we're losing 2-0. So if you were to join, this is a terrible question I keep asking. So if you were to join the backroom staff at with Paul Hurst, where would you say is the best way to attack Swindon and how to get one over on you? Where's your weakness?
We're our own worst enemies at the moment. I think we struggle.
There you have the ball.
Yeah, so so just at the moment, it's hard to say because I don't even know who is looking after the squad at the moment. We might just change everything completely, but at the moment, we've been doing all right because we all went to Northampton thinking like we were going to get bombarded with set pieces, and we did, and we managed it pretty well. And that hadn't been the case in recent weeks. I think if you play the ball around, you'll get through our defence. We've Angus MacDonald, who's our captain, he sometimes can get a bit, I don't know if I should say this because it's criticism of Angus MacDonald, but sometimes he can go a little bit astray and it's easy to get through and go one-on-one. But Solbrin, our goalkeeper, is very good. I don't think there's like an area at the moment at Swindon's team where it's just like you're not getting through. But because of the standard of this division, we've been getting away with it so much where you just like, if you just play it to that guy there on the right, you're through. And a lot of them just head down and start running at them, and then they fall over the ball, and then Swindon get the ball, do the same and fall over as well. So I'm a bit miserable at the moment because the last few games I've been to have been turgid, even when we've won. So I think if you just play the ball around and don't do any sort of silly passing and anything like that, you can get through us. We're just going to be hitting it for Charlie Austin to head. That's all we're going to do. If Romeo Hutton's playing, all we're going to try and do is get to Hutton on the right for him to cross in to Austin to try and head the ball. That is pretty much what we'll try and do. And for a lot of teams this year, it will probably work. But yeah, we are in a little bit of a feeling sorry for ourselves position at the moment, even though we're not doing too bad in the league.
This sounds like it's when you started that sentence with "we're our own worst enemy." That's what we were up till 2 games ago. So it's either going to be 0-0 or it's going to be get your money over 3.5 because it's going to be one of the two by the sound of it. Because up until a couple of games ago, we conceded 4 and 3. Was it Alex in 2 games or 3 and 2? I can't remember
that goal from Max when our goalkeeper tried to clear it, smashed it against the arse of the Tranmere player and it went in.
Did you see Alisson? What Alisson did against Wolves yesterday?
No, what did he do?
That was horrendous. He just was in front of the cop and he just basically booted it to their guy on the edge of the box. It was far worse than anything we've done, and he's an international goalkeeper.
Hey, so's Max. He plays for New Zealand.
He's an international. Like I say, Alisson's an international goalkeeper.
So could have James McKeown if what did he say? He said something like his parents had a row, so he couldn't get the San Marino birth certificate.
It was he couldn't find his granddad or something, wasn't it? Because he'd moved family early or something, and he couldn't find his granddad.
So he couldn't play for San Marino, which is heartbreaking for him. But I mean, is there a worry with Charlie Austin there? I'm trying to think if, say, an Omar Bogle-like character returned, and I would be worrying about, well, is he going to still be up for this level? Is he still going to have the same fight? You were saying that his fitness necessarily isn't a massive, is a massive joy. What is the general consensus? Or is everyone just buying Austin and sticking it on the back of their shirt?
I think it's kind of when it was announced, and it was announced in such a typically Swindon way that Sky Sports broke curfew and announced it, so Swindon didn't even get the opportunity to unveil this player who's way too good for this level, probably. I think a lot of people are very much on the shirts, name on back of shirts sort of stuff. But what has been really interesting in the last few weeks is it's sort of, I think one of the reasons Scott Lindsay's leaving is because of this signing, and not necessarily because he was against it, but in the press conference when Charlie Austin was unveiled, he basically sort of pushed the technical director under the bus, Sandro Di Michele, who's the guy responsible for making the signings, by saying the chairman brokered this. If it wasn't for the owner, I wouldn't be here. And then he was like, I've not met the manager yet. I'm sure it'll be fine. There was no sort of pro sort of rhetoric that came from it. And since then, everything seems to be crumbling around behind the scenes. So we're going to be relying on him because we haven't been scoring enough goals. So it's going to be one of those things where the game starts and he's going to get the biggest reception. It's going to be a bumper crowd because people want to see Charlie Austin come back and do well. And then it's either going to go one or two ways. He's either going to score a header in the first 5 minutes and it's going to be back, or it'll be like, ooh, oh man, he's not the same as 2010, is he? It's going to be like that, nothing in between. And yeah.
I think it's key. You were saying that his fitness and stuff. I think it's key on Saturday for us not to give him any time or space, because regardless of his fitness, he's at another level with his quality. So giving him space in the 18-yard box, you're asking for trouble.
That's it, because he's never been one for pace. He was never the fastest player in the world. He never needed to rely on that, but his instinct in the box will still be there. And that's what we're relying on, because our centre forwards this year, and it's not been their fault, because this is one of the things, like, we've got ourselves somebody who relies on service. We've had Luke Jeffcott play for most of the season up top and have nothing and still get 5 goals, but no one's really criticised Jeffcott other than the fact that he looks knackered all the time, because nothing's going his way. He's just stood up there on his own, just trying to get into the right places. But Hutton, since about 5 or 6 weeks ago, was pinging in some really good stuff from the right, and then League Two got wise to him. And they're on him. They're putting 2 on him or 3 on him. And he hasn't been as effective since then. And we just haven't been putting him in. So you get one chance with Hutton in a game at the moment. And Austin's more likely to put those away than anywhere else. So they'll probably be on him. I'm more than sure Grimsby will want to give him a few kicks and a few nudges to make sure that they know what level he's in now. And I'm sure that will spur him on. But like I said, all the good noise is saying that it's going well in terms of Charlie Austin behind the scenes, but I'm not expecting 2009, 2010 Charlie Austin. I'm expecting someone, and I do believe he's up for it. He's local. He didn't need to join Swindon. He did have other offers. Having lived in the other end of the world for a little while, I think the idea of a commutable club where he's number one, big fish in a small pond for 6 months minimum at the moment is probably quite appealing. And then if we're not good enough for him, he'll leave in June and go back up a level. But I think at the moment he's either playing for his career if he wants to move up to League One, or he's happy just to bed in. And we don't have to, if he's turd for until May, then we don't have to keep him. So it's a win-win situation there.
So this is another thing. You were suggesting that stability is a key thing, and Joss has just told us that you have Gavin Gunning.
Mad Gav, yeah.
So how does that work? Because that guy is a fucking lunatic, and
Bonkers.
I would quite likely to nut him if I'm being
entirely honest. He's the angry one on the touchline. So from what I know, he's still here. So I'm not quite sure if he was drafted in by Scott Lindsay or whether he's just going, I don't fancy going to Crawley, I'll stay here or whatever. But as far as I know, Mad Gav is still at the club, and I've heard he's not even got badges. In terms of,
I imagine he stole them from somebody else.
Yeah, I've heard he's like there as a favour or what have you, because he's 31 and he's assistant head coach with no coaching badges, and he's coaching a League Two side, and he just, as you would expect, he's the one angry at the touchline, gobbing his mouth off, spitting a lot, and just going. We know of his reputation. Steve Mildenhall's a Swindon legend. He's a local lad who did better elsewhere in his career, but he's come back, and I think this is probably he's been back about 6 years, and this is probably his 18th manager he's worked under who's coming in. It's been obscene. He came in under Phil Brown, Brown, Wellens, Sheridan. So 5 or 6 head coaches. So yeah, it's so we love Mildenhall. He's brilliant for the club, and he's very much like a very stable figure in what is quite a shaky back room, and it's always good that he sticks around.
Perfect stuff. And okay, then money on the table. Then what are you expecting as a scoreline?
I'd be really interested because of the non-head coach factor. So it's Charlie's big return. I'm going to say 2-1 Swindon. We do 2-1 for and against, but it's the most boring prediction that you can go for. But we don't tend to keep many clean sheets at the moment. So I'm going to go 2-1 and Austin will score, and maybe he'll get the second as well, but we'll see.
Perfect. Thank you very much for joining us, Rich. Enjoy the rest of the season, apart from Saturday, obviously, and safe travels wherever you're going on an away day. See you later.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Rich. Thank you.
Cheers, Rich.
Bye.
All I want to do is play.
I'm not playing that. Rich has already left us, so it's fine. I didn't need to do a little transition. I've got a few. You've got. I've still got some old ones.
That's
you got that
Donker.
one. Yeah. That one's a bit too lively. I don't think we've got any more. Oh, we've got that one. That music is on the Hugo Boss advert. So if you ever hear an out for it, listen for it.
I'm not being funny. None of those is the one you was going to play.
You are sorry, mate? What
Can
did you
we
say,
have the
Bruce?
Clive one again?
Yeah.
All I want to do is play football for Grimsby Town.
You can't legislate for that.
It's even got the old logo on there, which shows it's never been updated. Ben is saying this podcast is much too football-y today. It really is. Rich added a level of professionalism never seen upon this podcast whatsoever. So let's go back to talking about. I don't know, what do we want to talk about? Anything in the FA Cup that caught your eye? Stevenage beating Villa was pretty good, even though I hate Stevenage and Fatty Evans. That was a pretty decent result for them. What was the other ones? Boreham Wood drew with Accrington Stanley. Chesterfield drew with West Brom. What was the big wins?
It all looked pretty shit, to be honest. It was all
Wrexham beat Coventry. That was all right, wasn't it?
I thought you meant the draw. Sorry, mate. Sorry, I thought.
Oh yeah, sorry.
You never know what teams these people are putting out, do you?
No, that's true.
Even in the Championship, it's heavily rotated, isn't it? And then occasionally you get the odd club that just suddenly you're like, oh, they're pretty full strength. I mean, Liverpool did it yesterday, didn't they? Not for what good it did them, but they look fairly. You know, they had a lot of the first teamers playing yesterday. But yeah, you never quite know. You can't go to an away game sort of knowing what the opposition's gonna put out.
But look, I mean, we're going to be. You've got to understand. Wigan aren't doing particularly well. Luton are doing all right, but there's a chance, isn't there, to get a result from those games. Get a replay at their. What is it? A replay and then bring them back to ours. You never know. It might be a bit of money in it.
I think if it was Wigan, I think we'd take a few to Wigan. I think
so too.
I think people would be. We haven't played them for a long time. It'd be a new ground for a lot of people. It would open up. We've got quite a lot of people sort of in the Midlands and sort of Yorkshire and Northwest. There's quite a lot of town fans sort of that way on. And I think that the crowd yesterday of 5,500.
That was impressive, by the way. That was really impressive.
I think it shows that people are buying into the cup, and I think there'll be, even though it is Wigan away. Like I say, I'm praying it's Wigan, but Luton's a different kettle of fish. But if it is Wigan, I can just see that. Dad, it's the cup. Can we go? I think people are starting to sort of feel a little bit like that, and the kids are on board with it. Have you got your Harry Haddock yet? I saw they were on sale. No, there was one just in front of us, but I've still got my old one. But like I say, he needs a bit of TLC. I'm not sure whether you can get something for Haddocks that have, well, it's not a Haddock that I can permanently inflate him because he's got more holes than our kitchen sieve. Need to get him down to Norris the Rubber Man. He'll fix him, won't he? I've broken one of my drawers.
What were you going to say,
Off he
Mike?
goes. Jesus. Oh, just off he goes. Look, you mentioned something. He has to look if he's got one.
Jack Griffin said something. He said, "But Blunder Park yesterday was absolutely rocking. I've not seen an atmosphere like it since the Notts County game in 2018, where sort of winner took all for safety." And there was a lot of comments that saying that corner of the Osmond, which is where this photo is taken in the background, was really good. And it's kind of what I'd hope that would happen, is that becomes a bit of a lively section. And I don't know if that's right, Bruce, or not, but it's they sounded loud. The stream I was watching had no to begin with anyway, had no commentary, so. It sounded pretty lively, actually.
A few of our mates who are sitting the lower and some sit in the upper went in there yesterday just for a change of scenery because because they could. And I think on a general match day, the reason it's been it's the liveliest part of the ground without a doubt. And I think there's a few factors for that. A, it's next to the away end, but B, I think it's got. Like round us, we've had the conversation before that the crowds are brilliant and they're fantastic, but you've got families now, sort of, like if we played Bradford at home,
they're just dotted everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, they're scattered around the ground. So the whole ground is sort of a mixture of people like me with Maisie, groups of lads, and then next to them there might be a family, and then then there might be some more lads, and then there's another couple of families, and not saying that one or the other sing a lot, because going back to what I said earlier, the young lads in front of us weren't as vocal as I thought they would be. But for a big game, we used to get down our end, you'd get all the lads that didn't have season tickets for Bradford would come and sit down the lower, near the away fans, and there'd be really good atmosphere. And I think what's happening is the Osmond is the only really part of the ground where you can pay on the day. For most games, unless you want a restricted view in the main stand, the other three stands are all sold out. So what you ended up in there is, I think, is quite often is regulars, lads who go all the time, but probably used to pay on the day, that maybe contractors or shift workers or whatever that aren't there all the time and can't justify season tickets, but they are regular fans, and they're all bunched together in the corner. And generally they're, like I say, they're not young families, because I think a lot of the young families have committed to season tickets, if that makes sense. So you do get a livelier area with a similar demographic.
Yeah, and I think it would be nice if something was done, but I understand now Blunder Park is so full, it's very hard to do something. But if we could potentially, someone was saying moving the away fans into the corner where the family stand is and moving the disabled fans to somewhere nicer where they can sit, then making the Osmonds safe standing. Yeah, if it reduces attendance, Andrew Pettit said, that's a shame. But I think then it would indicate to the fans then that go, look, you're going to be standing in this section, so it's probably not family friendly. So don't bring your 5-year-old, don't bring the kid. That's going to be where the noise is going to be. And that's where we're going to allow it to be a bit more boisterous, shall we say.
And the main stand's got the shittest view. So, if you want to give somebody the shittest view, give it to the away fans.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm just getting my IPTV sorted.
That was a joke. He's not.
I am.
I was just going to say, I think they've
yesterday proved that I needed it doing. Sorry,
they've made it easy, because I think you just basically go in through the main stand turnstiles to get into that corner. So it's just like an extension of the main stand, and obviously for the away fans, they go behind in via the Harrington Street entrance. And I guess you could still do that, because last year when we were going in the Osmond and we were putting Eastleigh in the corner, they just opened up the turnstiles near the fan zone and let people in from Imperial Corner. So it's sort of Constitutional Corner. It doesn't really matter which side we go in from, as long as they can segregate between the two stands.
Ultimately, I can see the pontoon, and this is very controversial, becoming a family stand. It feels like a family stand now. Like Hannah takes Arya in there, and she's 4 years old, and quite a few others take family in there. It's not the pontoon as it was of the 80s and 90s. And I think if you were to make that sort of, where the noisy section is apparently now, like where the community stuff is and everything, if you had some stuff in that corner for kids and stuff, then that could be more of a family area. And then you can then go, look, I know it's not right, but the Osmond stand is going to be a bit more boisterous, and the pontoon is going to be more for families and everything. I don't think anybody would, if it worked, I think people would moan, and then afterwards I think they'd forget about it.
I think the only thing that would change it is if you made the pontoon safe standing, because then then if you knew that you were going in the pontoon, and at the moment you get that last block or that block and a half next to the main stand, which is the old singing corner back in the day when it was terracing. I think the only thing would change it is if you made it safe standing and people knew that people were going to be standing up in the pontoon, then you might attract more like-minded people, and
Agreed.
the families may move elsewhere. Not all of them,
Yeah.
because I would choose to stand over sit. Maisie has been brought up on seating and would rather sit down, but she's at that age where she don't get a choice at the minute. But I like to stand up still.
Yeah. And I just think, yes, Tom would say atmosphere happens organically, but I think you can at least help model the stadium in a way that it makes it easier for it to organically happen. And I think if we made safe standing somewhere, I think there would be. They don't sell season tickets in there, Simon. I think it's the only place you can buy tickets on the day, really, especially in a group. And I think that's a problem as well. I think you've pointed it out a couple of times, Mike and Bruce, where if you're taking a group of 4 or 5 of you to a game, it's very hard to get tickets together now because season tickets are absolutely everywhere, and it's basically 1 or 2 seats here, there, and everywhere.
There was one of the big games. There was one of the big games where, because obviously the main stand's fairly full down the middle, and then it's got, we get quite a good view of it. You've still got the top 2 corners, which are the worst views probably, like Mike says. But there was one of the
new
big
away
games,
stands.
Yeah, there was one of the big games though where the atmosphere from the Osmond corner sort of spilled round into the Osmond end of the main stand, like the lads that wanted to sing and be a bit livelier, but they bought the tickets in the back corner when those 2 blocks were sold out, and you could see they were standing up in that sort of, I don't know if you've ever seen the John Cockerill goal from years ago that I share sometimes, where he smashes it in and goes and celebrates in front of the main stand, and they're all on the pitch, and it has been quite lively in that corner. But then we used to go in there a little bit years ago before we had season tickets, or when we, if you thought the away fans were in the Osmond, you'd go and sit at that end of the main stand, and it could get quite lively.
And I mean, if we've made what I think someone said 213 grand so far from winning money. Do you know how much we'd make if we won the next round, Bruce? It was 105 this time. I'd imagine it's slightly more.
I wasn't sure. I thought that was a quiz question for a minute. No,
sorry.
No, that's all right. I haven't looked. Given,
but it would be nice to. Yeah, but it would be nice, like 215 grand anyway so far. Yeah, like that, and then on top of that, ticket sales. So I worked out yesterday. Say out of the 5,500 there, everyone paid 12 quid. That's £66,000. So it's not chicken feed. And after they've spent some money on the pitch, which looks like it's needed, we can then maybe buy some safe standing.
How much do you both think?
I'm going
Mike?
with 2. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you go, Mike.
125.
I'm going with 235.
Bloody hell, mate! Do you think the FA have made of money? 120,000.
Sorry. Oh, that's a rip-off. I don't even want to win it now.
It's 225,000 in the last in the 5th round.
It's only 2 million. It's only 2 million for winning it.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh well,
only,
that's a shame.
So.
Graham says we need to cover the corners. Absolutely agree. Andrew Nair says lots of non-regulars were near me in the lower, some expressing concerns over some of the crowd's comments towards the officials and Burton. Well, let's talk about the officials, Andrew, because a certain official definitely deserved a few choice words, because that decision to not allow that penalty was one of the most incompetent I have ever seen. Bruce, you were probably one of the harder views of it. What did you think of it from where you were?
I've seen it since Sai Stevenson shared it on one of his social platforms, and it's just he controls it, and the guy just barges into him. That'd have been a foul in the bloody NFL.
Yes, even in rugby, they're pulling you back for instigating.
Yeah, no, that's a penalty. That's a penalty. No, it was crazy. But I must just add that I probably saw there could be some choice words in the lower. And I don't think I've ever seen the linesman get as few words spoken about him as we did on yesterday. He was almost the lower's favourite. There's a guy that sits near us that goes absolutely ballistic every 5 minutes, and I love him. Like I say, Yeah, the linesman. Well, there's a few, but
I used to be one.
The linesman yesterday was he didn't get a lot. But then, to be fair, in the second half, I can't remember Burton being in our half more than more than 2 or 3 times. I saw our friend from D3 D4 podcast. He just said, "I've driven home. I've thought about it. The best team won," and that was it. That was it. Really, they were appalling. I thought their fans. Sorry, I'm sort of waffling on a little bit like normal, but I thought
this
their
is
fans
what this podcast
were.
is for.
I thought their fans were really good until we scored, and then I think they got the impression then that 1 goal was probably going to win the game, and they were just you didn't hear a peep from them for the last 20 minutes.
They were knowledgeable because it was certainly right.
Well, we said obviously at half time when it's 0-0 and it had been horrendous. It's going to be one of them games that 1 goal probably wins it. And they were, like I say, they got a drum. There were more of them than I thought. To be fair, there were 335, I think, and we were all surprised how many they bought. They were quite vocal, and I don't know whether they'd sort of thought, we're doing shit in the league. This is a chance to forget about the league. We haven't been to Grimsby for a while. 12 years or whatever. They've probably only been here once, probably in the past. We're going to have a day out and we're going to just enjoy it with no pressure. And like I say, they were like that for the first. They were the louder fans for certainly the first half and the first start of the second half. But then once Town started to get back into it, our fans got better. And then obviously after the goal, we were really good, and they just thought we've lost now. But to be fair to them, a lot of them stayed right till the end. I know it was only 1-0, but there weren't many that hit the road early.
Right, we've got about 5 minutes before we go. Do we want to do a game, or do we want to talk about potential transfer targets?
Game.
Great. Right. Okay. So did some FA Cup research. I don't want either of you putting up the list because I know I'll put it up there, Mike. So I need each of you to name one. What's up? Mike is on it already, is he?
The way you singled out Mike, I'm quite sort of flattered.
Yeah, what's that all about?
I don't know. Right, I need you to. So I've got a list here of every team we have played in the FA Cup and League Cup since 1991-92. To make the game go a bit quicker, I'm going to ask you for 2 teams each go, and the last person to not be able to do it loses, basically. So
I'm gonna lose. Put it out there.
Right. Okay. So you can doubles are allowed as well. So there's quite a few doubles. Bruce. Actually, no, Mike. If you say you're going to lose, you can go first.
Is this FA Cup and League Cup? Is it
FA Cup and League Cup? I need 2 teams from each. 2 teams from
either.
Either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Derby and Tottenham.
Derby and Tottenham. Okay, fine. That's no problem. So Derby and Tottenham. Can you tell me which competition they're from?
Yeah, they're both in the EFL, weren't they?
Okay, EFL Cup. Fine. All right, because that does matter, I think. Cool. So, Mike, Bruce, your turn. I need 2 teams.
After including 91-92 or after that?
After.
Wasn't even fucking born.
Yeah, you better not say anything, Daniel.
All right, I'll have Villa in the FA Cup in 94.
Okay.
And
might put a timer on this.
Burton Albion.
As of yesterday. Okay, fine, no problem. Okay, your turn, Mike. Remember, a quick game is a good game.
Huddersfield and Newcastle.
Huddersfield and Newcastle. Huddersfield from which cup?
FA Cup, I think it was, wasn't it?
Thank you. Yeah. Huddersfield and Newcastle from EFL. Oh yeah.
Chelsea and West Ham in the FA Cup in 95-96.
Fine, yeah. Cool. Your turn, Mike.
Crystal Palace in the FA Cup and Walsall in the League Cup.
Oh, have we got Walsall on the list in the League Cup? We do not have Walsall on the list in the League Cup.
Told you.
Right, Bruce, to win this, you need 2.
We played Bradford in the FA Cup in 99.
Right.
And we we beat Scunthorpe in the FA Cup in 2013.
There we go. Fine. Some of the so we have played Derby 3 times in the League Cup in that time. Played Donny twice. Played. Let me have a look. Spurs twice. Wednesday United. Tranmere 3 times in the League Cup. We've played Hartlepool, Wolves, Carlisle twice. Birmingham, Barnsley, Arsenal, Charlton. In the FA Cup, we played Ashington, Bath. Remember that famous rant from Pooja? Bromsgrove Sporting. Dagenham and Redbridge under Holloway. Salisbury, yeah. Russell Olympics.
I don't know if it's just me, Alex, but I can barely.
No,
hear
yeah,
you.
it's your sound. Then I thought it was mine again, Alex. Your sound's really bad.
Can I hear you now?
No, it's just like sort of a bit flaky. It might be a good time for us to finish. Now he's muted. That'll work.
That's better though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Can
it
you
is
hear
better.
me? That's not better.
You sound like you're in the cupboard.
I am in a cupboard.
Oh,
Is
that's
that a bad thing?
You are better, but you're very quiet now.
What about that?
That's all right.
Yeah, that's
Good. Okay. I don't know what's happening, but there we go. Oh, we're going so well. Well, there we go. So, well done, Bruce. You won. And you know, we've got Swindon next. Me and Mike are off to that. You could say yes. Bruce is coming too.
Am I?
Mariners.
Are you not going?
No, I was going to Crawley. I'm not off to Swindon.
Oh, what the hell? Am I going on my own?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Okay, fine. Oh, well, I'll go on my lonesome. No problem. Well, we've got Wigan or who's the other one? Luton. Who cares? Like, it'll be fine. We'll beat whoever it is because that's what we're doing at the moment. Bruce, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too. Nice and tight. Mike, thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Good stuff. And thank you for listening, you wonderful people. If you like the show, apparently, if you give it a review, it means something. I don't know what it means, but it'd be nice if you did it because we are all egomaniacs and it's nice to know that we do all right. So speak to you all soon. Bye.
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
Back of the net! They've done it! They've done it! It's Maguire Drew! They've done it again, this team!
What a magnificent piece of football!
Really, really good goal!
You can't let me slip for that. Grimsby are heading back to the Football League.
Love it.